Hey everybody, welcome back to the J-Rock Show. Here from the SimWorld TV studios. Happy Friday. We're here, it's July 18th. Thank God it's Friday. Happy Friday to you all. Hope you're all enjoying getting an early head start to your weekends. But we're back. Another edition of the J-Rock Show. Jay Midoriya was supposed to be joining me today, but some scheduling conflicts came up. That fell through, so Jay Midoriya, if you're listening to this, we got to get you back on the show. We're going to reschedule that. Pablo Guzman is supposed to be on next week, so you've heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. And before I get into what I really want to talk about in this episode, which is going to be a little bit of my continuation of Around the Table from earlier this week, I just want you to drop all your questions for me on social media, down below, wherever you can find them. If you have a question for JK, SimWorld Prep, SimWorld U, SWBA, SWFL, any sport, not even related to sports, anything you want to ask me can be about SimWorld, can be not SimWorld. Anything your heart desires, anything your mind can think to ask me, we're going to do a Q&A. It's a very dry moment of the off season, so I want to get you all thinking, and I want to give you all some good, fun content like I am always trying to do. So drop your questions down below, and I will make sure that I get to and answer as many of them as I could, if not all of them. And we'll make that happen, and feel free to suggest some guests you want to see on the show coming up. But with that being said, on Around the Table earlier this week, Sniper Jay and I talked all about the rivalry game. We talked about Ty Merca and Jackson Sutton. We talked about Mark Chisholm and Quan Singleton. There are rivalries budding across SimWorld U, finally. And Barkley James with that former Auburn squad of his. There are these rivalries coming. So I kind of want to make this what I'm going to call the list episode of the J-Rock Show. We're going to go through what I'm most excited to see in SimWorld U next season. The 5 best matchups and the 5 best rivalries. So without further ado, I'm not going to waste any more time, folks, and we're just going to get right into it. And we're going to start with those matchups. Next season, some of the best matchups you're going to find, some of the must-see TV, SimWorld U Game of the Week type one-on-ones right there that have rivalry potential kind of written all over them. I'm kind of fanning the flames a little bit, doing a little bit of JK instigating, one would say, but I think this first one is really easy. It's kind of a twofer in a sense, and this is an American backcourt battle between SMU and Jackson State. D. Woodley and Jay Midoriya, and Barkley James and Cam Jones. And I didn't even account for McAllen Duvall, didn't even account for a lot of the other players in this game, like the Maury Washingtons and the Richard Alpines. But we're going to focus on that backcourt because I can't wait to see how Jay Midoriya fares against Cam Jones and how D. Woodley does against Barkley James. Going to be a lot of offense between that backcourt in that American Conference battle. And I'm also kind of excited to see a lot of backcourt battles in the American Conference. You still have Lace Darius Outlaw. He's back. You still have Benari James. He's back. You have that Richmond backcourt now with Frey Maxwell and Ty Merca. I don't think they're going to be that good, but at least they'll be exciting. There's a lot going on in that American Conference, especially in those backcourts. So, but SMU is, I think, the clear leader in the pack now. I know Jackson State won the conference last year. Lace Darius Outlaw came back because he wants to bring a national championship to Memphis. But I think that SMU Jackson State backcourt rivalry is going to be the most fun one we get in that American Conference. Moving on to the Big East. Battle of two forwards. I'm sure you know who one of them is. That's Villanova's Justin Bell. That's going to be number 2 on this list. And it's not going to be Jay Laster on the other end. It's going to be over at UConn. It's Fareed Redmond. Shout out Coach Drayton for this one. I know he loves some Fareed Redmond, but that's just 2 bully ball forwards in the Big East that are just going to give it their all on every single play. So I can't wait to see how Justin Bell and how his game takes elite in year 2, because I really loved what I saw from him in the Trey J SummerSlam. So I think he's going to be the number 1 pick in the 2026 SWBA draft. But for Reed Redmond, that's a guy where one of the more experienced guys in SimWorld U who's returning, but has all the makings of being a potential lottery guy. I love that guy's skill set. He is fantastic. Number 3 on this list, we're going to go to the conference that I know all too well, and that is the Big Ten. On one end, you got another guy who's getting a lot of number 1 pick buzz, a lot of Naismith buzz. That's D'Angelo Jordan out of Illinois. He's probably the closest you'll ever see to Kevin Durant. The way he moves, the way he uses his size, especially if he puts on some weight, he is going to be so dirty. You cannot be 6'10" and move like that. And on the other side, it's the Mr. Polarizing, the man who some could consider the most hated man in all of SimWorld U, and that's Lorenzo Phenom from the Michigan Wolverines. With the Sherwood stuff and the things with his dad, he's back for another year. Wonder what maturity we'll see out of Lorenzo Phenom, but every time we see Phenom take the court, there's rivalry potential, but him and D'Angelo Jordan, especially given that Illinois beat them in the Super 16, there is a lot of rivalry potential here, so that's going to be my number 3 in this area. And then moving on to number 4, we're going to go down to the SEC. We're going to, for the first time on this list, you're going to see some freshmen join the club, and this is Kai Killens of Alabama and Rip Akir of South Carolina. The freak athleticism of Rip Akir, the premier shot creation of a guy like Kai Killens and the star-studded Alabama Crimson Tide. Dre Pope's going to have his hands full. So is Rip Akir with slowing down a guy like Kai Killens, but Rip Akir, he's a high flyer. He's got guys around him. The Isaiah Jameses, the Keandre Baldridge, nearly put him and Leonardo Fields on this list. But the SEC, there's so many of these. It's been so hard to narrow this down to 5. So before you come at me, try doing this yourself. And lastly, but certainly not least, we're going to the Big 12 for the Red River rivalry. Suno Chapa, Arthur Lattimore, 2 forwards. Lattimore's got the size on him, but 2 former 5-star recruits, 2 former McDonald's All-Americans, 2 future SWBA prospects. And we got to throw the rivalry aspect in there a little bit, because you're going to see Oklahoma and Texas in the next part of this show in a matter of moments. And let's talk about the rivalry game. There's a few that I'm sure all of you expect. I want to talk about those, but the 5 best rivalries in all of SimWorld U. I got to start where I got to start. And that is in the great state of North Carolina, Duke UNC. It's as storied as they come. Coach K, Roy Williams, Mike Krzyzewski losing his last ever Hoopsteria game to the Tar Heels in the quad. It's a storybook ending. So many fantastic talents have taken part in this game. And now we're going to have Marco Jacobs and Pablo Guzman and Andrei Ivanov add to that chapter. You got Cooper Flagg. You got Zion Williamson, Kyrie Irving. So many to name on the Duke side. And then for UNC, it kind of just keeps on going. Kobe White was one of them. But Tyler Hansbrough, when he was fantastic at North Carolina. Michael Jordan, James Worthy, Vince Carter. It doesn't end. Both of these teams are just factories for SWBA talent, and they're blue bloods for a reason, because they're always going to be competitive, and that rivalry probably has more hatred than any professional rivalry, I would say. And this is coming from a guy who's been a Yankee fan for 22 and a half years. So take that with a grain of salt, ladies and gentlemen. But number 2 on this list, it's another one I know well, the game, Ohio State and Michigan. This might be more of a football rivalry, but they hate each other in any sport, regardless of where you're playing. It doesn't matter. And I know it's not Beeline and Holtman anymore, not what it was a few years ago, but Cody Johnson, Lorenzo Phenom, Richard Prozarski. I called that game last year at the Chrysler Center, And that environment was fantastic. It was loud. I could hardly hear my color commentator next to me. So trust me, folks, when I say Ohio State, Michigan, you think it's a football rivalry till you go to one of those stadiums for a basketball game and you're floored by that attendance. That's two dedicated fan bases who might hate each other a little bit more than Ohio State, Michigan, or than Duke UNC, but Duke UNC is a lot more restricted to the hardwood than Ohio State, Michigan is. So they're going to clock in at number 2 on this list. And I told you, in number 3, I was planning to have another rivalry here, but no longer. And instead, we're going to talk about the Coach Skinny Classic, Louisville and Kentucky. John Calipari, Rick Pitino. This was a classic rivalry throughout the 2000s and 2010s. And there's been so much SWBA talent on that Kentucky sideline. Devin Booker, DeMarcus Cousins, John Wall, Anthony Davis, you name it. I could go on and on and on. And you just saw Jamison Johnson and Glory Tate on that side. Pooh Lewis. And now you still got Kadarius Loftus and DeMarco Graham and Adonis Knight and Trey Trust. Still going to be a fantastic rivalry between these two schools, and it's never going to disappoint. This is in state, just like Duke and UNC. And Coach Skinny said it best. He said, "I would rather see Kentucky lose and Louisville win," and that tells you all you need to know about this rivalry. And I think that's a pretty strong embodiment of kind of what you're going to see from that. Number 4. Now we're returning to that Red River game. Oklahoma, Texas, Suno Chapa, Arthur, Lattimore. Only state borders, Red River right there. And tensions are always going to fly. As good as Texas was last year, number 1 seed, falls in hoops area. Oklahoma was always giving them a fight. Henderson, Miguez, Chapa. And now you have Chapa, Lattimore, and Vincent Magic back for one more? Absolutely. This is a great rivalry, but with talent like that, absolutely. And I just want to circle back to that Ohio State-Michigan rivalry for a second. Like I said, Lorenzo Phenom. Cinema for drama. Cinema for rivalries. For Duke UNC, I think Marco Jacobs is going to become a Blue Devil killer this year. UNC is my pick to win the ACC. I think they sweep the Blue Devils. You heard it here first. And lastly, but certainly not least, we're staying in the SEC. And I really wanted to go with the in-state Florida State Miami here, but I can't in good conscience. USC UCLA gets another honorable mention, but I have to do it. It's the Iron Bowl. Alabama Auburn. Alabama's got 3 top 12 recruits coming in Sol, Killins, and Leonardo Fields, and they have DJ Childs coming back. Auburn just lost Barkley James. They're definitely outnumbered. Bev Patches is back, Honcho Hardwick's back, and Bruce Pearl is a coach that knows how to get his guys ready. And yeah, losing Barkley James is tough. We saw him go bonkers at the end of the year, and now he's at SMU where he's got a chance to compete for a national championship. This might feel one-sided right now, but in the state of Alabama, I don't think you all realize how seriously they take this game. That's going to do it for this episode of the J-Rock Show, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching, as always, being such dedicated supporters of what we're doing here on SimWorld TV. And remember, don't forget to drop your questions on social media down below in the comments, wherever you can, and I'll get to them. And remember, folks, SimWorld, the only place you can see the game, be the game. Have a great week. I'll see you next Friday with Pablo Guzman.